And welcome back, everyone, to our After the Episode Game of Thrones recap. So this week we are recapping Season 8, Episode 5, the penultimate episode entitled The Bells. So Val actually took a bunch of notes. So we have a scene-by-scene breakdown for the first time. We've been threatening to do this the entire season. And
yes. I was determined to do it this week.
I know I wasn't going to do it. So
yes. Yep.
So take it away.
Okay. So right off the bat, I kind of had a feeling, I think we both had a feeling of what this episode was going to be, because during the opening credits, right at the very end of the song, they had a bunch of quotes from the past.
Which was different than usual. It was usually just they would show scenes, but it was a bunch of quotes all at once.
Yes. So
which stood out.
Yeah.
Right. So
set
some
the tone.
Oh yeah, totally set the tone. So some of them were like Olenna saying "be a dragon." What were some of the other ones?
Viserys saying
you don't want to
awaken the dragon.
Yep.
And it was all of Danareys with her angry face right after Missandei gets beheaded in the end of the last episode. So.
Yep. Yeah. Oh, Cersei saying, "When a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin."
Yep. Maester Aemon saying a Targaryen alone in the world is a terrifying thing.
Yep. Yeah. So right away we were like, "Oh crap!" Like we looked at each other and we were like, "This is going to be interesting." But I loved that. I thought it was really well done.
Yep.
I agree.
What? You're switching headphones?
Yeah.
Okay.
Continue though.
Were those too big and bulky?
Yeah, they were too big.
Sure.
Which one?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay.
There you go.
Anyway. Yes. Sorry. Headphone change. There, that's much better. So did we have any other thoughts on that opening, or
Nope.
was that okay. So so it opens and we see Varys. He's clearly writing a letter about Jon having the best claim to the throne. And a young girl walks in and shares with Varys that, Daenerys has not been eating. And she's like, they're watching me. And he's like, well, of course they are. That's their job. And it actually took us a minute it took us, our third watch through to figure out that Varys was actually trying to have Daenerys poisoned.
Yeah, we think. Strongly suspected.
Yeah.
I didn't pick up on that until I think Sophie told me, and I remembered the scene, but I don't know what I was thinking in the moment.
Yeah. I thought she was just kind of maybe like spying on Daenerys and that was it, but then we were like, wait a second, like there's more to it than that. So yeah. So then right after that, Jon arrives and Varys goes right to him and basically has a conversation with him about, you have the better claim to the throne, you'd be the better ruler. And Jon's like, she's my queen. Like, that's it. She's my queen and I don't want it. So
yeah,
that's like the first interaction right there.
So what'd you think, Corey?
When he's talking to Varys, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't have any real thoughts about that scene. Other than, to me, that was Varys saying, like, it was desperation on Varys' part.
I was going to say, because that was out of character for him to be that forward with his intentions. It was definitely desperation.
I think he knew his time was short with what he was trying to do, and he's like, I got to do something quick. Otherwise, I'm going to die, or things aren't going to go the way I want them to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep, so right after that, we go to a shot of Tyrion walking in quietly to a disgruntled-looking Daenerys, leaning against the wall, and he is starting to say, like, someone has, she guesses someone has betrayed me. She automatically says Jon Snow, and Tyrion's like, no, it's Varys. And she basically was like, yeah, I know, because Jon told Sansa and Sansa told you. And then she kind of is like, well, Tyrion, then isn't it your fault because you told Varys? And I was like, oh God, this is not going to go Tyrion's way. Like, we're
she's
done.
She's right too, right?
Right, and she's totally right. And I can't believe she wasn't more mad than she was. I was actually surprised by that.
Yeah. And I couldn't tell here if she had figured that out all on her own, or if she has other spies that figured that out or knew something that were informing her,
Yeah.
Because she had it all perfectly,
Oh yeah, she knew exactly what had happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to take things at face value now, though. Like,
yeah,
there's not time to build anything else out. Like, we need to tie everything up. So I don't know.
Hopefully,
like, I just
right?
think about everything in terms of what you see is what you get.
So she probably figured it out on her own, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Who knows? I think we'll have to wait for the last book to get released to know for sure.
Right, for sure, yeah. So Tyrion and Dany have their, kind of heated discussion. It goes back to Varys. We were trying to figure out if this had any meaning, but it could just be like, it is what it is. But Varys was burning up a paper and putting it in a metal container, and he was taking off all of his rings. So, yeah, I mean, I guess
he was getting rid of evidence, I think. Because if Daenerys knew he was sending out those letters, and to whom, that would be important information.
Oh, that's true. Like, who was receiving the letters?
And then we
from
think
him?
the rings might be involved with the poison.
Oh, okay.
So
interesting.
Huh.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because I don't see any other reason why they would have that scene in there.
Like, be a thing, right?
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was another one. I'm not sure what I to me, like, I was thinking in that moment that the rings were coming off because he knew he was going to die.
Yeah, I kind of
thought
thought
they were valuable or something. I guess that's a good point, though. I mean, they wouldn't have focused on it if it wasn't important somehow.
Yeah.
But maybe it's not important.
Right.
Maybe it's
like,
not
who
important.
knows, right?
Maybe
yeah.
He's throwing a curveball.
Yep. So yeah, pretty soon after that, Grey Worm comes in.
Yeah. Beardless, real quick. Beardless says he doesn't think Varys knew the extent to which he had been ratted out. So
Sure.
maybe at that point he didn't necessarily know he's going to die. Maybe he thought he was just going to go be questioned or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe, but I mean, I think he knew he was going to get caught.
Outed.
Yeah.
I think maybe he was just surprised that ultimately he found out it was Tyrion.
Yeah.
And so soon.
Yeah. Yeah, this was all so quick. Like, so yeah, like, Grey Worm comes and gets him, takes him. Daenerys, Tyrion, Jon are all there. Tyrion's like, it was me. And, they do some, thanks for everything, old friend. And, well, not really thanks for everything coming from Varys, but, they have a moment. Tyrion kind of holds his arm, and you can kind of see, like, Tyrion thinking, what the heck did I do? Kind of, maybe. And then Varys does a lot of, I hope I deserve it. I hope I'm wrong.
I hope I'm wrong about all of this.
Well. Yeah. So then, Drogon appears out of the shadows of the night, and they do a little Dracarys on Varys, and that's it.
No more Varys.
That was a cool moment, too.
It was well done, I thought, yeah.
Yeah, the dragon kind of materializes out of nowhere behind Daenerys.
Yeah. Probably the most tear-jerking moment of the whole series for me was Tyrion and Varys's moment. I thought it was very, what's the right word? I thought it was very, I want to keep wanting to say manly, but that's not the right word. Like, it took balls for Tyrion to go up to Varys and tell him that it was him.
Yeah. Right. He could have just not said anything, and Varys would have burned up not knowing. But maybe Varys knew to an extent.
Yeah,
and
it was a good
having his thoughts confirmed.
It was a good character moment too.
Yep.
For both of them. I'm sure Varys appreciated that. Like, he didn't have to die wondering who ratted him out.
Yep.
And then there was another thing said there that stood out to me, but I can't remember specifically what it was. I hope you're right, Varys kept saying to
Yeah.
Tyrion. I hope you're right about what you're doing here.
Yeah.
And I keep going back. I know we're going to get into more specifics about what's going on, but I keep going back to that, like, Tyrion is the smartest guy in the realm, and I'm still wondering if he is wrong. I don't know. I really don't.
Yeah.
Even based on what we've seen in this episode, which would make you think that he was wrong, but
Right.
maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe Tyrion does have some really long game plan out here
Yeah.
that we're not aware of just yet.
I would love that. That would make me happy after this. Yeah, so anything else with that?
Nope.
Yeah, that was a very powerful, and I was like, I remember I turned to Dan and I was like, really? We're like 5 minutes in. Like, and this is where we are already? Like, this is crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, so the next scene is Daenerys and Grey Worm. They have Missandei's slave collar, and they're just saying, it's the only thing she brought with her. Grey Worm throws it into the fire, and Jon walks in. He says, let me talk to him. So, she's going into her, I don't have love here, I have fear. And Jon's like, I love you. And they go to kiss, and he denies her. Yeah. And then she says, all right then, let it be fear.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So, Jon turning her down for sex was the ultimate reason that for the later events of the episode.
Yeah, I have a lot of
Woman
thoughts on that, but
scorned.
maybe we should just wait till
Yeah, that's fine.
we
Yeah.
get to the moment. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, you can say. I mean,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
can
I
say
would
it now.
say like what you thought at that moment.
I still, it's funny because I find myself more and more sympathizing with Dany.
Yeah.
Sure.
And based on what happened in the first few episodes, I didn't think that would be the case.
Mm-hmm.
But like this character arc of hers is really working for me,
Yeah.
and I know it's
Yeah.
not for a lot of people.
Yes.
I'm
Yeah.
with you.
I agree.
He was kind of
absolutely
her last hope, really. Like, Grey Worm's just kind of her soldier,
Right. He
Yeah.
doesn't have
not really a friend. Jon was her lover for a while, and it's clear that he wasn't able to love her back like
Right.
she wanted,
Yep.
which is what started Robert's rebellion.
And
Right.
she
yeah.
as she said, like she needs fear. Then if she can't have the love, she needs the fear.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh shoot, I keep losing my points today. What, like, I need some medication or something.
Oh no.
They just keep flying out of my brain.
Sure. Yeah.
I start to
Oh,
say
I
it and then
understand.
it
Yeah.
just disappeared. Maybe I have Alzheimer's or something.
Yeah. Yep.
No, there's just too many thoughts.
Yeah,
Maybe
'cause there's
you'll
so
maybe you'll
much.
think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Oh no, it's okay. So the next scene, Tyrion was trying to. Okay, so they're like back out in the
Yeah.
where the throne is.
The
there.
audience chamber
Yeah,
of
yeah, that's
of,
what I'm looking for.
Dragonstone.
Yep. So Tyrion's trying to talk some sense into her, basically, in this scene, and he's saying if you hear them ringing the bells, call off the attack. It means they've surrendered. And Daenerys gives a quarter-hearted, like, little nod to Grey Worm, like, okay, if they ring the bells, don't attack. But it was like, there wasn't a lot of oomph behind it.
Yeah.
So that's basically that scene. I didn't get a lot of like the quotes or anything in that one, but.
Yep.
I mean, it's
Tyrion was
Tyrion's
just
last
trying to get her
plea,
to not burn up King's Landing.
Yep. Yeah. And then that's when Daenerys, when Tyrion's walking out, Tyrion's like, okay, well, she said they'll stop if the bells are ringing. Daenerys reveals that Jaime was caught, trying to escape. And then she threatens, the next time he fails her will be his last time.
I feel like she said that before. Has she not? Am I just making that up?
Yeah. I feel like
She threatened him with that at Winterfell. That if she didn't, or if Tyrion failed her again, that it was gonna be the last time.
right, but that's when Jorah
Jorah
talked
and
to
Varys
her
were
and calmed her
around.
down.
And Jorah brought her around.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. So any other thoughts on that?
Nope.
Okay. So our next scene is we see people filing into the Red Keep in King's Landing. We see Tyrion asking Davos if who's the best smuggler, and Davos is like, I'm not going to like what you have to say. And Arya and the Hound arrive. Kind of blow off a guard. With their word trickery that they do. Oh, like, I think the Hound's saying, like, just because Arya's like, I'm gonna go kill the queen, and the Hound's like, yeah, think about it. If she kills her, like, there's no siege, it's over. And
yeah, you may not die tomorrow in the battle.
Yeah, you might not die, so they get in. But then the biggest thing that happens next is Tyrion and Jaime. Tyrion and Jaime's time together with Tyrion freeing Jaime. So how you were saying, like, that moment with Varys and Tyrion was like your biggest tearjerker of the whole show. This was actually the biggest tearjerker for me.
Me too.
I actually had like tears coming down my face. Not to say that probably won't happen on Sunday, because it probably will. But to this point, Tyrion's just saying, you and Cersei need to escape, and there's going to be a boat for you. You need to go to Essos or wherever and just start a new life. And but then at the end, he says, you're the only one I ever had. You're the only one that didn't treat me like a monster. And they hug, and there's crying, and I was crying, and it got a little dusty for Dan too, I think.
Dicing up some onions.
Yeah, so it was a really touching moment. I think because, you feel so attached to Tyrion and Jaime in his own way, even though he's turning out to be a scumbag at the end, kind of. But, like, you still love these characters. So to see Tyrion be like, you're the only one I've ever had. And
yeah. And they had such good brotherly chemistry, too, throughout the whole series.
Yeah.
It was cool to see them, like, just sit around and shoot the shit sometimes.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. So
I even picked up a few times where Tyrion specifically had some of Jaime's mannerisms.
Yes.
And I don't know if that was on purpose or if the actors were really, really close and that was just something they absorbed from each other. But it was that the acting was that well done. I think it was on purpose. But
yeah, it was some of his like head gestures.
His head gestures and stuff.
Some of the things the way he would say like all right or okay, like he just looked exactly like Jaime. So any other thoughts on Jaime and Tyrion? Yeah, that was nice. I drew a heart and a crying face next to that scene because it was just a good one.
I thought something that jumped out to me. I thought it was kind of funny how, like, in the past we spent a whole season with Jaime in captivity, whereas now he gets caught, has a chat with Tyrion, and escapes in the same like 15-minute span.
Right?
It's like yeah, we've really sped things up quite a bit.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, sure. Yeah, for sure.
Which is one of my. It's a complaint that I have too. It's I would, as I said, I think I talked about it last week. I'd like for stuff to marinate, a little bit, but there's just no time for it, and I really wish they had done full seasons because I there would have been plenty of stuff that they could have done.
Yeah,
but definitely.
They really could have developed it. So the next part is really just like little bits and pieces of before the siege begins, I guess you could say. So we see the Golden Company is outside the gate, I guess. We see a little Aaron Rodgers cameo there.
No, Aaron Rodgers actually was not in the Golden Company.
He wasn't?
No, he was burned up.
Really? That was Aaron Rodgers.
No, it was a Lannister soldier that he got burned up.
What?
Yeah, I'll show you after.
That was Aaron Rodgers in the Golden Company.
It looked exactly like him. I agree. Because I thought so too.
So wrong.
But I looked it up later.
Okay. So we see Cersei up in her tower looking pretty smug and confident, which made me think, okay, Cersei's Cersei. She's got a plan. So then Arya and the Hound make it in when they're closing the doors to the Red Keep. Jaime does not. He's waving his golden hand around, I think, trying to get like a soldier's attention or something, but with no luck. So he runs off to the side. And Arya connects with a mother and daughter. And the mother, they're just trying to get in. So that's kind of all that's that's happening right before things get crazy. So I guess
Yeah.
get right into that.
Yep.
So we see Euron on his ship, and he hears something coming, so he starts to look, and Drogon is flying right down, like he's in the sun, basically. So Euron can't really see where he needs to aim. A couple of the scorpions come close, but Drogon, like, they clearly... I was so happy with this, because it was like, oh, they actually thought about the battle before they went into it this time. And, like, Dany and Drogon had a plan. Like, it was very clear, like, how they were going to swoop in and be in the sun and avoid the scorpions and all of that. So a couple, maybe, of the arrows,
Yeah,
whatever,
there's a few close calls,
come close, but
not really.
Not really. Euron's ship gets blasted, so we see him flying. And Drogon just goes through and basically destroys all the scorpions. Then he comes up behind the Golden Company, blasts them from behind the gate. And we see Captain Strickland, his horse, of course, goes down because they have to hurt all the animals and make me cry even more. So, we see Strickland, like, running for his life, and Grey Worm takes him out, and the ground forces just come through and destroy everything. Like, anybody that's left in the Golden Company is destroyed pretty quickly.
Yeah. Do you have any thoughts, Corey, on anything?
Yeah, so far?
I do not. No, nothing there.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's, things are kind of just happening.
Straightforward.
So, yep.
It's a shame.
Yeah.
Like we didn't get to see the Golden Company fight.
Yeah, right? Yeah.
They didn't fight. They got blown up in the middle, and then they kind of scattered, and then they got overwhelmed by Drogon and the Daenerys forces.
Yep. So that's the first time we see Qyburn coming up to Cersei. He's saying, the scorpions are gone, and she's like, well, the Iron Fleet is protecting us. He's like, the Iron Fleet is destroyed. And she just, kind of keeps saying the Red Keep has never fallen. It's not going to fall today. Just...
What do you think's going on in that moment? Is she just delusional? Is it wishful thinking? Is it something else? Is she actually mistaken? I don't know.
I think it's denial.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what I thought. That's what I gathered from that scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think she was trying... I think we've seen, like, she's smart enough. She knows. Like, I think that she's just saying it out loud to convince herself that the Red Keep has never fallen, so she's going to be safe. It's always been safe for her, so she's going to be fine. But I think she's just trying to convince herself in that moment. I think she fully knows what's going to happen, but she's just saying out loud to make herself feel better.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. What did you think of her in that?
I don't know. I had issues with the fate of some of the characters. Well, yeah,
I did.
A couple of them at least.
I did.
Cersei being one of them.
Mm-hmm.
But we can talk more about that after.
Yeah.
We talk about her ultimate fate.
Sure.
This episode.
Yep. So, Daenerys, ground forces run in. They meet with the Lannisters. Drogon kind of flies around behind the Lannister forces, and the Lannisters surrender. Much to Jon's relief. You can tell that, I feel like, just from his face, like in one little shot, you can tell he's so conflicted. Like, he doesn't want to be a part of this, and he doesn't really know what to do with himself, so he's really relieved.
Well, plus, and I know this from, like, listening to hardcore history, what a brutal way to fight that is in city streets. That, with people everywhere, with enemy soldiers that can seemingly come from nowhere. That's a really, really hard fight, and I don't think Jon, like you said, wanted any part of it. So I think he was definitely relieved that the Lannisters surrendered at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and he's probably thinking back too, and that this just dawned on me, like, Ned fought in those streets, and did not fare well, so that's probably in the back of his mind a little bit, that Stark men don't do well in the capital.
That's for sure.
Yep.
I did have that the back of my head as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought John might have died.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of, it's like eerily silent, and there's a lot of people just all yelling like, ring the bells, and finally, after a little time passes by, the bells finally ring.
Were you guys wondering what took so long for the bells to ring?
Yeah, I was.
I feel like there's context there that it was intentional. There was a reason why they had, and I don't think it was just for tension. There's a reason why it took so long for the bells to ring, and I'm curious if we'll get an answer as to why in the next episode. Probably not.
Yeah.
Maybe that's something that can be fleshed out further in the book. I don't know. I just feel like that's such a crucial part of what went on. Like, did Cersei tell people not to ring the bells?
Yeah, I had that thought.
And someone did it anyway. Or was that directive never given, and it was just up to the people to ring the bell? I don't know. I that's just one of those things I wish we had more information on, because I think it would help with a lot of analysis of all of these characters.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I totally agree that maybe Cersei had said, like, these bells don't ring, don't do it, but they were just like, what else can we do? Like, this dragon is destroying everything. Like, we have to give up and just figure something out to save our lives,
In her reaction when they did ring, I couldn't really read whether it was disappointment or relief, because she just kind of like closed her eyes and looked down, right?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. So yeah, with the bells ringing, that's when we get a close-up of Daenerys on Drogon, just kind of sitting there, and it's a close-up of her, and you can tell, like, she's thinking maybe a little bit, like, what am I doing? And she kind of takes a very deep, quivery breath, and that's when things get real crazy. Pretty much. I wrote in my notes, and now she's going Mad Queen. What I really liked about this scene, other than like why, not why, because I get it, but we'll talk about that. What was really interesting is that the scene where Drogon's flowing over the city, like right before he really starts like letting the fire loose, and it's the scene that Bran saw in his visions when he was becoming the Three-Eyed Raven.
Yeah.
So that was really
a lone dragon flying over King's Landing.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting. And then unfortunately, that's when, the Lannister army is a guy in the Lannister army turns around. Grey Worm takes a spear and throws it into his back, much to Jon's dismay, because he's like, are you kidding me? This is what we're doing. And this moment makes me really nervous. So Jon's trying to keep his men back. He's saying, fall back, like, leave them alone. Don't do this. And Grey Worm stops and, like, has a moment of watching Jon do this, going against Daenerys' wishes, basically. And I feel like that's going to come back to bite Jon. So that made me a little nervous. And then basically Jon has to stop his men from being the bad guys, like his Northmen from being the bad guys. So it gets interesting.
Unsuccessfully, right?
He breaks up a rape attempt.
Yeah, he breaks up a rape.
But like overall,
well, he had to kill the guy, who was one of his soldiers.
His own soldier. Like, I think he had a Stark thing on his,
he had Stark armor on.
Yeah, it just... Yeah, so I don't know, what do we think of the Mad Queen starting her work?
Well, I mean, I guess we could talk about all this now. That's probably, for most people, or the people that didn't like it, that was the most controversial thing for them, was they didn't feel like Daenerys had earned her Mad Queen status at that point.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not convinced she's gone completely mad yet.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not convinced either, despite what we saw. Like, she still has something good, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, she... I don't... Yeah, so my point that I couldn't remember earlier was, so her number one motivation throughout the series is the Iron Throne, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Her second motivation was love,
Sure.
right? With
Sure.
Khal Drogo.
Yep.
Briefly,
Dario.
Yep. Her children.
Her
A
children.
different kind of love, but love for her dragon children.
And then Jon, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she realized she couldn't have Jon, and the only way for her to win the Iron Throne would be with fear at that point.
Right.
So I wonder, like, how much of that factored into her decision to just destroy everything. And it to me, like, when you go mad, you don't really have that sort of thought, but it makes sense to me.
Yeah, I wasn't shocked. Like, I think if you've watched this show and you pay enough attention, like, there were little hints of this everywhere from the start.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even, like, I think of the first episode when we see her and she goes into the hot water and it doesn't burn her. Like, just her reaction to the people around her, like, I remember automatically thinking, like, ooh, this is like a strong, this is a character to be reckoned with type thing,
Mm-hmm.
And then we just see little bits of it throughout every season. So it wasn't shocking.
Yeah.
Even though it was.
And honestly, I feel like if Jon had his way and wanted to win, if Daenerys did everything Jon wanted to do to win this battle, I feel like they would have lost. I really do.
Mm-hmm. Right. And I mean, too, like, within all those quotes, they do have the part where Olenna said, be a dragon. Like,
yes.
You're not anything else. You are a dragon. Be a dragon. And I even told Dan, I was like, and you brought up an awesome point about Olenna, that this was kind of, in a roundabout way,
Her getting revenge on Cersei.
Yeah.
By telling Daenerys just burn everything.
Be a dragon.
Be a dragon.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, to me, that's a good point. But to me, her revenge was letting Jaime know that she was the one who poisoned Joffrey.
Yeah. At the very last minute.
That was fantastic.
That's awesome.
That was one of my favorite moments. Olenna. Awesome. But I don't know.
It tracks for me. It really does throughout the whole series. And again, like, she's not mad like what's his name was?
Aerys,
right? Like, to me, that was madness. Just like burn. Like, I don't know. The stories we know about Aerys were true like evil mad things. Whereas with Daenerys, it might seem a little reckless, but it doesn't feel like madness to me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure that's part of it, like, because she has that edge to her. That's part of the Targaryen craziness, but I don't know. I'm still not 100% convinced that she's just gone completely mad and she's just gonna burn everybody and kill everything. And I don't know. And I feel like Tyrion is too smart to have made that mistake, like, to put his trust in tell Daenerys about Varys. If he felt like she really had that in her, and maybe she tricked him too, I don't know. But, like, I don't know, just as Tyrion being quote unquote the smartest guy in the realm, I don't know. I feel like it's somewhere in between her being mad and her making a smart decision. And also, all the dragon fire makes me wonder, like, are those just old caches that were there, or did Cersei have a plan to?
That was put there by Aerys. He was going to blow up King's Landing when it got invaded.
And would Cersei have done the same?
Right.
If, they walked up to the Red Keep. I think she would have.
Oh yeah, I think she would have.
And they would have all died.
Yeah. I think one thing that made me a little disappointed, but I get it too, is that, like, Cersei didn't seem to have a plan, like blowing up the scepter, like along those lines, because it's Cersei and we've known her to have this plan. But I think at the same time, like, you're dealing with a dragon, like, that really is only going to go down if one of those scorpion arrows gets it, and so, I mean, what do you do unless you have a dragon yourself,
See, I think in Daenerys' case too, is I feel like this would have happened before if she didn't have the advisors that she had. I mean, how many times did she threaten to burn cities to the ground? Like, she said that on several occasions, and I think she would have if it wasn't for Barristan Selmy, if it wasn't for Jorah and Tyrion telling her to don't do that. You know,
like calm down. And Jon, Jon told her too.
Yeah,
if you go in and burn them,
I think we in our heads can justify her acts of cruelty because she's just burning slavers, or she's burning the masters, or what have you. But that in and of itself, like when she crucifies the masters in Meereen, like probably a lot of those people were innocent. They didn't necessarily have any part in crucifying the slaves that were crucified and stuff. So I feel like that would have happened sooner if she didn't have her advisors, which are now all gone.
Right.
That's the point.
Yeah. Or like she, in Karth, she locks the guy and her helper there, like in that vault.
Yeah, to some extent they wronged her, and the people of King's Landing didn't. But I really feel like she would have burned a city to the ground, if she could have.
Yeah.
In earlier seasons, like I said, without her advisors that she has.
Yep.
Burning the Tarleys, they were enemy combatants, but you executed 2 noblemen who just refused to bend the knee to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
She's vicious.
Yeah.
But maybe not mad.
She just had.
Yeah. No, I agree
people.
With you.
She had people temper her, and
Yep.
Until now, she doesn't have anyone to temper her worst impulses, and I think she's beyond the point of really listening to Tyrion anymore because he's quote unquote failed her so many times.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. So, she continues on her fire journey, and we see Jaime. He's running up the side of the Red Keep, and Euron shows up, of course. And they have words, and a fight ensues between Euron and Jaime. Euron ultimately ends up stabbing Jaime in the side. Jaime goes down pretty hard. That might have been another moment when I had a tear. I was like, oh my, like Euron of all freaking people, it has to be Euron. So they're fighting. Any thoughts on their fight scene?
No.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like that it was a lot of like punching and kicking and
they're like
rolling on the ground.
Yeah, and they're like talking to each other like like a bunch of high schoolers, like while they're doing it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially Euron, because he's Euron.
And
I don't know. I didn't like it. For like a fight scene, it was just like Euron means nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know, and we didn't get the impression that Jaime was really upset with Euron, so there was just no reward in that battle. It was just an annoyance for me for Jaime to go, live in his character arc. It was just I don't know.
Yeah.
It was too convenient and didn't make much sense to me.
Yeah. Oh, I could totally see that. Yeah, so we see, Euron stab Jaime in the side. Jaime goes down, is gasping for air. But then we go back to Cersei, and Qyburn comes, and he finally convinces Cersei that they have to go. And he says someplace, is a better... Maegor's Holdfast is a better place to go. As she's walking away from the window, there's wildfire starting to erupt in the city in various places. So that was kind of interesting to see. And then we go back to Euron and Jaime after that. Euron gets Jaime again, but then Jaime gets him really, really good for the final blow to Euron with a spear or sword?
No, it was a sword. He stabbed him in the gut.
To the gut. Twisted it. Euron's being just Euron, being a weirdo the whole time. And then the last scene we see of Euron is, I'm the man who killed Jaime Lannister, and he's all proud of himself in his death scene.
Delusional.
And Jaime is straggling off with his wounds.
Punctured lung, I think.
Yeah. Yep.
Both sides, you got him on both sides, right?
Yeah.
I think one was in the. I don't know if you got him in the lung in the other one. I think that was lower, maybe in the kidney.
Yeah.
But
So
it's possible. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know one of them was a punctured lung, just the way he was panting
yeah.
and
Yep.
breathing. Go ahead.
Yep. So actually this I'm wrong. This was probably the scene that got me the most is this next one. So we go to the Hound and Arya, and they're standing on Cersei's map of the world, I guess.
Westeros,
yeah. And the Hound is basically like, girl, go home. Like, you don't belong here. He's like, if you come with me, you're going to die. You don't want to be, he like holds the back of her head. He's like, look at me. You don't want to be like me.
You don't want to be consumed with revenge.
Yeah, basically. Basically saying you have something to live for. I never have had anything to live for. So go live for something. And so the Hound leaves her. And she says, Sandor, thank you. And that was like a major moment for me that I was just like, because I love Arya. The Hound has always been one of my like top 3 even favorite characters. So that was a sweet moment between them.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Any thoughts on
Nope.
that?
Corey?
Yeah.
I thought that scene was really well choreographed and shot. I felt like a video game. Like I felt like I was watching some like Dark Souls.
Yeah.
And I mean that as a compliment, not like bad video game graphics. Like
Right.
I don't know, it's just a beautiful set piece, and it was very fun to watch.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved it. It was a nice, goodbye for them, I think, because like we know the Hound is not an affectionate, loving person, but he is in his own way. Like, and that was really the only thing he could do to like show how much he cared about her, was to encourage her to go be safe and go live your life. So but then we get Clegane Bowl. I'll let you
people have been
away.
hyping Clegane Bowl for a while.
I'm sorry, I jumped ahead. I was talking about the actual fight when I was talking about the video game set piece thing.
Yes.
Oh,
I see what you're
okay.
saying now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
so the Hound marches up the stairs, kills some of the Queen's Guard. I think there was 3 or 4 of them that attacked him, and he dispatches them really quickly. Stands at the bottom of the stairs so that they can't pass. Both Qyburn and Cersei are, like, Sir Gregor, you need to, stay by your queen. He ends up picking up Qyburn and tossing him down some stairs, and he smashes his head on a rock and dies.
Yep.
Which I thought was interesting because he kept the Hound or the Mountain alive.
Yeah,
it was kind of his creation that killed him. So
yeah,
that was kind of poetic.
I didn't even think about that. Good call.
And then Cersei just walks past the Hound. He clearly doesn't care about her. He's just there to fight his brother.
Yep.
And the Hound gets a good few shots in on the Mountain. Clearly the more effective swordsman, but it turns out that the Mountain is probably unstoppable. I would
there's
say.
nothing that can kill him, really. I think what was interesting here too is, as the Hound and the Mountain are fighting, they kind of parallel what's happening to the Hound with what's happening to Arya out on the streets, where she's getting trampled and thrown to the ground and hit. And
he's getting beat up.
So I just thought that was kind of a neat, parallel for them.
Yeah.
Because they are so similar in a lot of ways. So, so I mean, they just fight. Of course, the Mountain lifts the Hound up and it's going for the eyes, like the old, oh my God, what's his name? Oberyn move, going for the eyeballs. So the Hound, is stabbing the Mountain. It's not doing anything at all. He pulls the sword out from it. There's nothing happening. And then the Hound manages to stab his dagger through the Mountain's head.
Yeah.
Like through his eye.
Stabs him everywhere.
Yeah.
Tells him to effing die. Which made me laugh.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah. And, and the Hound's kind of laughing through all of this because he's like, are you kidding me? Like, I finally come to fight you and, like, you can't be killed. Yeah. Like, you basically can't be killed. So that's his moment, and he ends up tackling the Mountain, and they both tumble down hundreds of feet right?
Yeah, plummet.
Hundreds of feet, and they plummet into the fire. And that's the end of them. So.
It's pretty poetic,
Mm-hmm.
isn't it? Because, I mean, Sandor ended up dying in flame with his brother, essentially, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
I just wish that battle. I mean, it's fine as is, and I enjoyed it, but I just wish it meant something.
Yeah, I agree.
But maybe because it didn't mean anything, it just shows the lengths that Sandor would go to I don't know.
Yeah.
Kill his brother.
Yeah, I agree. Like, again, the Hound is one of my favorites, and I wish I had gotten more from his death scene, but I don't know what more would have looked like, because it makes sense, because that really was ultimately what he was, like, living for, was to just go find him and kill him for what he had done to him. So, you know, maybe I didn't need more, but I think it was maybe more just me being like, don't kill the Hound, like, because I love him, you know? So, I don't know. I think it was just more of something, you know, me being attached to him as a character, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah, what do you think of Clegane Bowl?
It was fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was entertaining. I didn't feel strongly one way or the other about it.
Yeah. So John is still having his, like, what the heck am I doing here moment. We go to him. He just puts his sword away. He's saying, fall back, get out of the city. Like, we gotta go. Davos.
Because at this point, Daenerys has been burning up more of the city, and the wildfire caches are starting to blow up.
Yeah, so there's just fire
more
everywhere.
destruction.
Yeah, I didn't highlight that, you know, while all of the things I'm talking about are going on, like the Red Keep is crumbling, and, you know, people are being, you know, burned up, and there's women and children, and it's a pretty horrific scenes of wounds and all that stuff. So yeah, John wants everyone to get out, you know, get out of the city. And so then we start following Arya pretty much here, and she's been, like, you know, blasted by something. She's covered in dirt and blood, and it's pretty gross looking. And she, you know, stumbles into a plate, like a building of some sort where there's women and children. You know, she's like, you can't stay here, you've got to get out of here. So she's trying to lead them out. Let's see. So that's when that woman, the original woman, and her daughter, like,
her name was Nora.
Nora, yeah. She's, you know, she's trying to get them out. She's trying to help them, and, you know, the mom goes down, and the daughter goes back, and Drogon comes through, and they're done. And we just see Arya, like, go off, you know, to the side near a wall, and we just see the flame, so we don't know what happened to Arya at that point. But then we, I forgot a part, didn't I? Oh, yeah, so before Clegane Bowl, or at some point in Clegane Bowl, we see Cersei all alone, and her and Jaime reunite.
Yeah.
And, you know, have a moment, and, like, you actually see her care about Jaime. Like, she's like, you're hurt, you're bleeding, like, you know, what are we gonna do? So he leads her, you know, down into the crypts, I guess, of the Red Keep.
Yeah, underneath the Red Keep.
Yep. So, you know, they're down there, they're in the crypt, and, you know, Jaime knew that the boat was there because that's where he had fought Euron. So he knew Tyrion did have a little boat there for them to escape. But their way out is blocked. Everything is blocked because Drogon's just blasted everything, and there's no way out. And I'll let you take it from there.
Yeah, then, you know, Jaime's looking for a way out. Cersei's like, I want my baby to live. I want to live.
I want our baby to live. She keeps saying that.
Yep. And Jaime, you know, consoles her as the rocks are crumbling around, and finally they get crushed and buried underneath rubble in the crypts of the Red Keep.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, Corey?
Yes.
Yeah.
What do you think? Because I didn't love it.
I didn't love it either. My thinking was that Jaime would be passed out outside by the little dinghy
Mm-hmm.
about to die, and then Cersei would come out and see him and be excited, and then he would strangle her to death.
Yeah.
Because this whole time I thought that maybe he was going to King's Landing to destroy Cersei.
Yeah.
Turns out that's not the case, but
Yeah.
I'm okay with it, because to me, like, Jaime, he said something along the lines of, I can't remember exactly how he phrased it. It might have been in the last episode or maybe at a different point, but something along the lines of, she's messed up and so am I.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember the exact line. Do you guys remember?
She's
Like,
hateful.
she's hateful.
And so am I.
And so am I, yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's just him. Like, I bet if he had spent more time with Brienne, like a full season, then, he might do something different in this situation. But for me, like, Jaime's motivation, similar to Dany's motivation as the Iron Throne, Jaime's motivation has been Cersei all along. Like, that's all he really cares about. Even when his children, like, I don't know, like, his reactions to things it's all about Cersei for him. So for him to go out with her underneath the Red Keep together, it did work. I think as so in terms of the whole series, it works, but in this episode, individually, it didn't really work for me. I don't know. And same with Cersei. Like, there are so many other ways these characters could have died that would have really got my adrenaline pumping and like excited and like cheering kind of moments. And like this was fine, but I had to, in order to enjoy it, I had to take a step back and think.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, part of me just wants that blockbuster, ending that it's clear we're just not going to get.
Yeah.
Subverting the story is fine, but if you do that, I don't know, I just feel like they're subverting too many things, and it's not as rewarding as it could be if they kind of just let things. It's almost like they're trying to be too smart, and they're trying to make it so nobody predicted what was going to happen. But I don't know, like, some of the stuff. You just think back to Joffrey's death and how rewarding and how awesome that felt. How visceral your reaction was to something like that, and I didn't.
Or Ramsay's death.
Yeah, exactly. You didn't really get that with either of these characters, and I didn't want it with Jaime because I like Jaime, but I wanted it with Cersei. I wanted to see her stupid face when somebody ran her through with a sword or something. I don't know.
For me, what I took from the scene was, first of all, Jaime never actually completes his redemption arc, which is, it's kind of life, I mean,
and he's a tragic character.
Character, exactly.
And that works. That's a tragic ending.
And even I think Olenna said, Cersei's going to be the death of you, right? They brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, he just couldn't break free from her no matter how hard he tried. And then for Cersei's death, for me, it was more like the thing that she fought so hard to keep in her life. And I know she loved her children and fought to keep them, but she fought to keep herself in power and as the queen of King's Land, queen of Westeros, and she tried very hard to remain there. That was the thing that ended up killing her, and it was because she didn't leave in time. I think there was a little hubris there again, which has gotten characters killed and maimed in Game of Thrones. So I thought it was fine. It wasn't a spectacular death, not by any stretch. But even Jaime Lannister, I don't know if you remember the part where they were in Dorne. He wakes up to Bronn killing a snake that was about to bite him. Bronn's like, that would have been a shit way to go. And Jaime says they're all shit ways to die.
Right.
So,
right. That's a good point.
That's how I took the scene.
Yeah.
Well, even going back to like why Jaime left King's Landing to go to Winterfell, you could still argue that it's to protect Cersei, because doesn't he say to her, like, if the dead wins, they're going to come down here and kill us. If the North wins, they're going to come down here and kill us.
Yeah.
I had that exact thought.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, he really did it all for Cersei at the end of the day. I think for me, like, I kind of wanted maybe something more, like you were saying, like blockbuster, because we've seen so many epic deaths in this show. But I think the simplicity of it was, like, worked for me, I think, because it just showed, like, power isn't everything, maybe. Like, like, she just she died with her castle crumbling around her, like after everything that she's done and the tricks she's pulled and the things she's had such success with, and then for it to end so simply, like, it was kind of interesting, I think. So I wanted to see something epic, but at the same time I get where it's like, okay, like, you had all this power, but it's not everything, so your castle's gonna kill you. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. So it worked for me, but I would have liked to seen something maybe more exciting at the same time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's what we've kind of been groomed to that, Like, I'm fine with it, but like, because I almost was just going to say, like, maybe it's too much for, like, them to run her through with a sword because she's pregnant, but that happened.
Yeah, that happened at
the Red Wedding. So,
Yep.
So that's not off the table.
Nope.
Even, I mean, I think you could do both though. Like, even just a moment with Cersei and Arya. You know, something like, you killed my father.
Right.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Just something.
Yeah.
To
or
give
Tyrion.
us that. Yeah. Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Something.
Yeah. But, like, it's okay at the same time for me. Like, it's okay.
Yeah. A lot of people hate this episode.
Oh my God.
I really liked it overall. It's probably my favorite this season.
A few minor things like usual, but I liked it too.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. All right, so where are we? So after that scene, there's ash. It's kind of like quieted down a little bit, and the ash is falling from the sky like snow. We see that Arya has survived. She's clearly very shaken, and I was telling Dan, like, just thinking about this today, actually, because I was talking about it with some coworkers. We've seen Arya with death for a long time. Like, it's Arya with death all around her, and to see how shaken she really is in this moment is very telling of, like, how, like, the scale of it, like, she's clearly like very bothered by everything that's happened.
A bit rattled.
Yeah, rattled. Yep, so we see her stand up and look, and there is a white horse standing, all covered in blood and dirty. But there is a white horse standing there, and she walks over to it, talks to it a little bit, and then the last scene is, Arya riding off on the white horse out of the city. That's where it ends.
Yep.
So what'd you think?
I feel like there's a metaphor there with the horse, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
There's a biblical reference that people keep pointing out.
Yeah.
The white horse thing?
The pale horse.
Pale horse.
The angel of death will ride a pale horse.
Right, and all of Hades,
Hades
will
Hades.
follow or something like that. Yeah.
I only know it from the Johnny Cash song, but
Okay.
Yeah.
Dan's a good Christian, so
Yeah.
No, I'm not.
No.
I read it.
We've just read articles.
Yeah.
I'm teasing you.
Yeah. I loved this as the ending for the episode. It makes me a little worried for Arya because, we saw her get the big kill with the Night King, and
Death. Yeah, Beardless says death rides a pale horse.
Yeah, death rides a pale horse. So I'm a little nervous because it's focusing on Arya again, and I'm like, are they really going to give us that much of Arya doing, these spectacular things? But maybe they are, because maybe there's a purpose for that. Like, we don't know what Arya's role is, because I still think of Bran. Like, Bran's somewhere doing something.
And we know exactly what he's doing.
Yeah.
He's working out somewhere.
Yeah.
He's staring.
He's being a peeping Tom.
Yeah. Well, I actually, I read that some people think that, he warged into that horse. He warged into that horse to get Arya out of there. For whatever purpose. But, so I don't know. Anything else about that last scene?
What'd you think, Corey?
Yeah.
It's a miracle. Was she the only one they showed, still alive in the city? I mean,
I'm sure there was others.
Point,
it was just, that was in the main
but that's
avenue.
the only one they showed, right?
Yeah, there's
at that point,
no one around.
I don't know how long she might have been unconscious.
Yeah. There's a lot of people saying that, how long was she out for? What has transpired?
It seems like a lot of the fires had burned down at that point too. It was just little trickles here and there.
Yeah.
And lots of ash. So.
Mm-hmm. But interestingly, this was probably like, if you haven't noticed, I'm really big on the music of this show because I think music makes everything, because I've always been into music. So the closing credits are Reigns of Castamir's playing, and it's mixed in with like Cersei's theme song. And I thought that was so well done.
Yeah.
It was really, really great. So, because like Cersei talks about Reigns of Castamere, that whole
Reigns, yeah.
the whole story. So I just thought that was beautifully done. That last little touch, of Cersei exiting the show.
Yeah.
So, yeah. So I don't know. Do we want to do like overall thoughts or?
Yeah. Corey, because we've talked about this extensively, so
yeah.
we'll get your thoughts, Corey.
Yeah, like I said, I really liked it. I would go so far as to say loved it. There were some issues, but like I'm kind of at the point now where I'm just resigning myself to accept the story for what it is.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
I went into the season with that in mind.
Yeah.
Not to have few, if any, expectations for how I think it might end.
Right.
I had a few guesses, but
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's a lot of complaints about it being rushed, and I totally get that.
yeah,
but
that's
I think
a fair complaint, I think.
Yeah, I think it's a fair complaint, but I think they have to, because it's like it's out of control.
Yeah.
Like there's a petition now to like have the season be redone by different writers. Like it's just like people are losing their minds over this, and it's like Dan and I watch it all the time. Like it's something we do together in our very little free time that we have, as we watch Game of Thrones and we dissect it and we talk about it.
Yeah.
But it doesn't consume us to the point that it's driving us crazy. And like we're pretty obsessed with it.
Yeah.
And like if you just take it for what it is and like be okay with it, just be okay with it, because this is how it's going to end, like it's
Right.
I don't know, but I can't put myself, I guess, in the perspective of someone who's having such a hard time with it that their lives are like being destroyed. Like I think that's a bigger issue. Like if
somebody brought up
if you're
a good point. Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt
No,
you.
you're fine.
I was going to say somebody brought up a good point. Like think of all those people that have named their kids Khaleesi.
Khaleesi. Yeah.
Yes. There was just an article like that this woman it had like some problems having kids or whatever, and that like her daughter was born and she named her Khaleesi, and the comments on that article
God.
they're like, oh, she's probably regretting the name now, and I'm like,
Yeah,
oh
people
my
are
gosh,
animals.
people are like, whoa.
Yeah, the hysteria. I mean, that's part of our hate culture. We see that a
Sure.
lot in video games. That's in the hate
Sports.
culture. Like
Sports,
it feeds
yeah.
it. It's the clickbaity, hateful
Yes.
articles. I was watching a YouTube video today about somebody who had a ton of complaints with it, and it was like aggressively mean. And I'm like,
Yeah.
and people eat it up because if they're mad, they want somebody who's a little more talented and can make a YouTube video to help explain why they're mad.
Right.
And then that stuff gets upvoted, and then it's just it's a snowball from there.
Right.
But to me, like I challenge all those people that have so many issues with it to try to see the good and just
Yeah.
try to enjoy it. Like you have no control over this. It's not your story. It's never been your story. You might want it to end a certain way, but it's going to end how the creators want it to end, and you're going to have to live with that. So you can either
Right.
be angry and hate the end of Game of Thrones and regret all the time you spent with it, or
Mhm.
try to find the good, remember all the good things, and just make the most of what you're going to get, because otherwise you're going to live a really sad life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I agree 100%. And like, I don't know. I just can't imagine being that angry about it. Like I can't. And like you said, like, okay, if this isn't your favorite season, fine, but there are so many good things that happen in the show. We have
Yeah.
7 other seasons that are fantastic. So
Right.
like just take a chill. Just
Yeah.
take a little chill pill. It's going to be okay. I mean, like, right now I think going into the last episode, like one of my biggest things is like I can't watch Jon die again. Like that would be really hard for me. But at the same time, if it happens, all right,
Yeah.
that's what happens, like,
Right.
but that's my biggest fear right now is Jon dying again.
You know what would be cool is if they did like a like how they ended The Departed, where the characters just kill each other in the last 10 minutes.
No.
That was a great ending.
Oh my god. See, no.
With
I can't
no
agree.
fanfare too. It's just like
I can't agree.
like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It would be
for The
a Game
Departed.
of Thrones version would be stabbing and maybe a dragon eating
blast.
someone or something like
Yeah.
that. But that would be cool.
Oh my god, no. I would have a problem with that ending because you know how I felt about that ending.
Yeah.
I was like, why did I just sit and watch a movie when they were just going to blast each other and it's over?
Yeah.
Like, I remember we saw it in the theater, I think, and I was
don't
like,
remember.
this is the worst thing I've ever seen. But at the same time, to be fair, if that's how Game of Thrones ended, then that's how it ends. Fine.
Right.
Like, I'm okay with it because it's, like you said, I think I had said before, like, people are like, well, this is my theory, so they better do it. And it's like, no. Like,
Right.
this was filmed a year ago or 6 months
Yeah.
ago. Like, you have no say in what happens. I'm sorry. And if you want to have a say, write your own story. And
There you go.
and do it
That's
how
the
you
best.
want it.
Write
Do
your
you
own
want-
ending. Write your fan
Yeah.
fiction.
Exactly.
Maybe it'll be good enough that I'll read it. I don't know.
Right.
Probably not
Probably
because
not.
I don't care enough.
Right. Yeah. Well, there's a big thing like on the internet right now. I didn't read into it, but I saw articles about it. Like someone created fan fiction and it's a whole like series of Arya and the Hound on like adventures together. And I was like, that's great. Like good for that person, you know? 'Cause
Yeah, that's awesome.
like I don't know if it came out of anger of the shows or just because they liked that, you know, that relationship. But like,
Yeah.
good for you guys. Like have fun with it. Like
Dan, do you remember the ending of Martin the Warrior?
Oh man, I don't know. Not really.
So, I mean, I was young. I may have been 10, maybe a
Mm.
little bit older. And Rose, I think her name's Rose, the mouse. Spoilers for Martin the Warrior.
I was gonna
Gets
say,
killed
well,
at the end
Okay,
by Clooney. I don't know if it's by Clooney or one
it's
of
not
his.
Clooney's in Redwall, not Martin.
Okay,
Moore.
not Clooney. Yeah, see, my memory is very poor. But I remember this character dying and me being so distraught with the ending that I rewrote it.
See?
I remember you doing that.
There you go.
Yeah.
So just
And
do
I was
it.
really happy with my ending, and that's the canon in my own head,
Yeah.
and I'm happy with that.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Yeah. Really, to me, the only way that I'm gonna come on next week and be like, I'm devastated, I hated it, is if they leave with a question that we know won't be answered.
Yeah, not
That's
not
like a big
a
one.
question, a big question. Like
big
I've never
question.
liked ambiguous endings with anything.
Like that movie, Inception.
No, it was the
That had an ambiguous ending.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
With the
to be honest with
spinning,
you.
Yeah.
the spinning top.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like that was too big of a question for me.
Yeah,
Like,
but I don't think you can do that
yeah.
for something like this.
Oh,
You know,
I know. I don't know. Yeah. I feel bad for
but
the people involved.
I'll
people are
I'll
being
come on here. I'll complain about it a little bit, but that'll be it. If
Yeah.
that happens.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
Country for Old Men. Is that what you're thinking of, Dan?
Nope, didn't see that one. No, the movie I bring up is the breakup
Right.
with the
Oh yeah.
like if they got back together or not.
Yeah.
I need to know.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a
Yeah, I don't
stupid
know.
movie, but
Yeah.
I
No.
need to know.
Yeah.
So I don't want to belabor the point, but predictions for the finale. I'm wondering like it can go in two different ways. It can go in the Jamie is mad and she needs to be dealt with route, in which case somebody's got to kill a dragon. Somebody's got to kill
Yeah.
Grey Worm.
Yeah, Beardless just
Yeah.
asked who's killing Daenerys.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
There you go. Somebody's got to kill Dany.
I don't know.
I don't think there's a version of this where she's mad and they don't kill her, right?
Yeah.
Unless she ends up winning and killing everybody else.
Yeah. I don't.
Which could very well happen.
It could
I mean,
happen.
John doesn't want the throne. Who's going to sit on it?
Yeah.
If not
One
Dany.
of my coworkers has stood by Sansa from a while back now. He has said that he thinks Sansa will be left on the throne, because his point was that Sansa, every character, like Jon has had multiple episodes kind of all about Jon, and Arya's had a couple episodes now all about Arya, but Sansa has never really had her, like, this is kind of all about Sansa episode. So he thinks
good
that's how
point.
it's going to end. And I
And I
thought that
mean-
was a really good point.
Yeah, and if we're taking experience into account here, like she's been in King's Landing for a lot of stuff that went down. She's been a pawn a lot of different times.
Yep.
I mean, she had her thing with Littlefinger, but I'm sure she learned a lot from that as
Oh,
well.
yeah. She's taken everything that's happened to her and used it to her advantage to this point, I feel like. So
she's probably the most adept, and I think that's a good to your point, Val. What she's shown in Winterfell shows that she's a capable leader. So
yeah,
they've made a point to make that a thing.
Yeah.
As far as Daenerys, like, there's a lot of different ways this could go. You know, is she gonna ultimately get poisoned by Varys's spies?
Right.
Could be. But
we don't know.
what's gonna happen to the dragon? Is the dragon gonna go ballistic and start burning it? Like, I don't know. Is Arya gonna kill someone who's close to Daenerys and take their face and use that to kill her? Like, there's that. Is Jon gonna kill? Like, I don't know.
Right. Is Jon gonna flee? You know, I feel like he left it very open-ended with Tormund. Like, what role do the wildlings have to play?
Yeah.
Do they have a role? Samwell Tarly, like, was that the last we've seen of him? You know, like,
I don't think so.
Right. I can't imagine that's like their part.
It's the same with Sansa. Like, Sansa has to be back in the episode.
Right.
Like,
Bran. Like,
Bran,
you can't.
Yeah, they didn't really. They may just leave it. I don't know.
Right, because Bran might have just been for the Night King, and that's it. But we know, like I said, in his visions, he saw, Drogon flying over King's Landing. So I don't know.
Bran is still on the top of the
Yeah.
list for Vegas betting odds.
betting.
For sitting on the throne?
Yep. He is.
Huh.
I don't know where they get their information from, but
Yeah.
No,
I
that's
mean,
crazy.
I would assume at this point that the Iron Throne technically is no more.
Right. Physically. It's physically gone.
Yeah, but is physically no more, but it's technically still there. Obviously, the ruler of Westeros.
Yeah, I don't.
Or maybe Daenerys will forge a new Iron Throne.
Sure, she probably
Drogon's fire.
What other loose ends are there?
There's a lot of loose ends that probably won't get tied up.
Ones that need to be tied up. I know there's a lot that probably will never get tied up, but
yeah, I mean, Bran, Sansa. What's Sam's role? Brienne.
Right.
Is she gonna be?
Is she gonna do anything?
Gendry.
Yeah, I think.
Gendry and Storm's End.
Yeah, I feel like I've told you this many times that I actually, so when we started the pool, at the start, I actually had Gendry on the throne at the end, and then I saw him and I was like, there's no way. But now I'm like, wait a second. Like, maybe it's going to be Gendry, and maybe Arya is going to take the Hound's advice and have something a little bit more to live for, and end up being with Gendry.
Yeah.
Because if they end up killing Daenerys, obviously, Jon, I don't think will take the throne.
Take it. I'd be shocked if he did.
Maybe Gendry, being a Baratheon, will get it.
Right. Maybe he'd have the best claim with Arya as his queen.
Yeah,
it's a possibility.
Jeez, I can't wait. I mean, it
goes
without saying, but
yeah, there's just so many possibilities. Like, that it's like you could sit and think of all the different things that could happen, and the thing is, probably what's going to happen is something that we never even thought of.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's the beauty of the show.
Indeed.
So yeah, I don't know.
That's all I've got.
Yeah, I mean, I had written down, like, the previews don't give us anything.
No.
Like, it's
just a couple shots of Jon and Davos and Tyrion
and Arya.
And Arya walking through the ash. Arya getting a look at Daenerys and their soldiers celebrating, and the Daenerys kind of standing over the Unsullied and Dothraki.
Yep.
Celebrating the victory. And that's it. That's probably in the first,
there.
4 minutes of next week's episode.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, they're not giving us anything.
No.
They released some pictures today.
It's the same stuff. It was almost like it was stills from the
preview.
The preview that they showed us.
Yeah, so they're not giving us anything, which is fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
You think Bron's going to show up to kill Drogon?
Right. Oh, to kill Drogon.
Drogon, huh?
Well, Dany's going to be mad at Tyrion, right?
Yeah.
See, I'm worried that I feel like Tyrion could go real quick, and so could Jon. They could die really quickly because she knows neither of them are truly on her side. So that's what scares me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
I don't know.
Well, we'll find out in 4
my
days.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yep. I know. I'm like so ready, but I'm not. Because it's just going to be sad for me regardless of what happens because of this show and how important it's been to us. And,
Yeah.
you know, but at the same time, like, and I was telling Dan too, like going back and watching through is going to feel very different for me now. Like knowing a lot of their fates, it changed the entire show for me, you know? Because like I'm going to watch Cersei and I'm like, well, I know how you die now. And, you know, I'm going to watch Jaime and, you know, Varys and, you know, I'm like, ugh, I know how it ends for all of you now, and it does change your perspective on their characters a little bit, I think.
Sure.
But it'll still be enjoyable to watch it again.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Okay. Any other thoughts, Corey?
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those
right.
those in the chat. Thanks for joining us. We will see you all next week with our final episode of our Game of Thrones after the episode recap. Okay.